You told me you feel cool without him around. Lend me your heart, I'll fix the pain.
There he is.
I'm here. You're over there.
You're. Wait a minute. Oh, it's
you're
this.
This.
I have to look, right? Yeah, it's.
I
This
never
way.
know. I never know which way I'm facing.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So that's most of the time, actually.
You're right.
So your eyes are not playing tricks on you. This is not Lex.
No. What's up, everybody?
Oh no! Yeah, the bat's everywhere.
Yeah, well.
And he needed to be. He needed to be on today's show for whatever the reason. Yeah. So, I guess I should probably change that ticker to Relatively Paranormal, not Wickedly Haunted. What do you think?
I mean, technically it's not wrong, but it's not completely right either. So they'll have to find out then, I guess.
Well, you know what? The melon people surprising It's very surprising. Melon is playing funny tricks on me today. Oh, wait a minute. So I'm going to change this ticker. And we got a few things to talk about before we bring our guests up today. Some things have happened this weekend, not only with myself, but with, let me see. I think I've updated it. There you go. It's updated.
There you go.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Lex is not here today. He had a family emergency. He's going to be away till tomorrow. His family does live a distance from him, so I'm assuming him and Nadine will be driving down there, and I hope everything's okay with him. I did send him a message to make sure everything was okay, but he didn't respond back, which I didn't expect, but I'm assuming that I will hear from him tomorrow, which is unfortunate. And so hopefully everything's okay. Let me just turn this on. Everything seems to be stirring up today. I don't know why. Typical. Typical with through the lens.
John, about every time I'm around, there always seems to be a technical problem. It's me.
Yeah, it's weird.
I'm
well,
haunted.
Same thing with Lex. Maybe it's me. But you know what? I have all these protective rocks on my table now, and I'm wearing this, and I'm wearing a necklace, which is funny, because I'm not a necklace. I'm not a necklace person.
Really? I actually,
yeah.
I figured you would be. You look
No,
like the
I'm
necklace
not.
type.
Not at all. I'm not even when I was married, I never, I had a wedding ring, but I rarely wore it. And it wasn't because I wanted people to think I wasn't married. I'm not a jewelry person at all. I had earrings at one point. I took them out.
I can see the earrings.
Yeah.
I'm not big on the metal rings. They bother me. And being an electrician, I got to be careful. But Mackenzie and I have those rubber ones, those key rings. I love it. I love mine.
Yeah. So Raymond's already started.
That's you. That's not me.
Is it? Okay.
We'll assume.
So hopefully everything's good with Lex.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is. But my thoughts are with him as we do the show today. We do have a couple of people that are going to be coming up. Relatively Paranormal will be on the show today, as I put wickedly haunted, and right above it is where it says Relatively Paranormal, but you can't see it. But just for everybody to know, their links are in the description. So if you want to go follow them, or you want to see some of their stuff on YouTube, because not only are they a paranormal investigation group, but they also make ghost equipment. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. I'm interested in I saw another video of his today, and it was with the SLS camera. And he's selling it pretty cheap compared to most people that sell it. If you go over to his YouTube channel, he talks about it and the price of it. And I think the price of it was $285.
Wow. That's really good.
Which is really cheap, because I've seen it anywhere from $500 to $600 to $700 to $800. I guess that's also depending on the tablet too, right? I would assume too. I'm not sure, but we'll definitely ask him about that today. But before we bring them up, something happened this weekend, Friday, with me. Now, I think most people can agree with me, when you move into a condo, or this is a condo, but if you move into a condo or an apartment, there's always a couple of fears, big fears, when you move into a place like a condo, an apartment. I think most people know what those fears are: fire or water. Well, guess what, people? We had the second one.
Well, at least that's out of the two, I would take water, to be honest with you.
Yes. And so it was a real big mess. I'm not talking about the water. I'm talking about everything around it. So we had a plumber come, or a plumber came in, somebody we knew. So he came in, he checked the toilet, and it kills me. And I don't know if people know this. I didn't know this, but a lot of these plumbers or a lot of these builders, when they're putting in a toilet, they actually put the wax underneath. Well, that's actually wrong.
Oh.
You're supposed to use the round cylinder thing, and it's like a spongy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The reason is because if you're putting wax there, and if you're getting up or sitting down, or you're moving to one side, it will actually open up a little bit of a hole.
Okay, that makes sense.
So when you're flushing the toilet, the water will come out. And then that's also depending on the weight of the person too.
Yeah.
By moving around, standing up, sitting down. So he checked the toilet, nothing out of the toilet. Toilet was fine. He took off the wax and actually put the proper thing that was supposed to be there. The reason they do that is because plumbers or the builders are cheap and they're doing it as low as they possibly can. And the wax seems to be the lowest price. I don't understand how, but anyways, because those cylinders are not very much.
No,
they're not very much at all. So then he checked the sink. Then he checked the shower. Nothing. Where's the water coming from? So we finally found the shutoff valve, and now usually the shutoff valve is underneath the sink. Well, in this condo, it's not. It's actually in the closet beside the bathroom.
Okay. I had one out in San Diego that was like that.
Yeah. So he ended up having to cut a hole behind the sink to see if it was coming out of the pipe there. It wasn't, but there was water down at the bottom. Not a lot, but there was some water. So anyway, so then he goes, well, let's look for the shutoff valve. We couldn't find it, and he was surprised that it wasn't behind, because even the super said that, why isn't it there? Well, he didn't even know where it was, which seems to be odd. But anyway, so yeah. So we shut it off, and then he started looking inside to see if there was a leak up there, and we heard a drip.
Uh-oh.
It was coming from the condo above. Now, when the super originally came, when we called him, we asked him to go upstairs to see if they're having a problem upstairs. Well, he came back a couple of hours later when we called him back up here, because we said we cannot find the leak. It's not here. Oh, well, I went upstairs. It's dry up there. Okay. So we started looking more, and we could actually see the water coming down. And finally I called security and I said, listen, the water's coming up from upstairs. Can you tell the super to go upstairs and talk to the people? Oh, well, I'll get him to do it now. Which means that he didn't originally go up there. And if he would have gone up there, in the front hallway of the door, there's a huge puddle of water. So what turned out to be something that wasn't a big mess at the beginning turned out to be a bigger mess, because he didn't go check upstairs.
Wow.
And all he needed to do was go up one floor. To say the least, I'm a little bit pissed. There's a lot of people that are pissed right now. So anyways,
I don't blame them.
Other than that, I got the blowers going on the bedroom floor, because the water went into the bedroom. And underneath the floors. Now the floors are not lifting, but they are starting to separate a little bit. And there's, in between the cracks, is brown.
Oh.
So eventually what's going to end up happening is insurance, floor being replaced, and so it's going to be a big mess. I've been here for 2.5 months.
Wow.
And that's the second major thing to happen here. The first thing that happened was the central air. I thought it was a little loud. And later to find out, if we continued using it, or if I continued using it, it would have blown up.
Well, I mean, it is summertime. I don't know. See why you don't have the heater on. Like, it gets a little cold in the summer.
It's just like, the central air, right?
Yeah.
That's what we had going.
Yeah.
So, Anyways, so that's been my weekend, dealing with that all weekend. So I caught a little bit of your show last night.
Yeah.
I think I came in the middle of it, and you were talking about something I didn't understand what you were talking about. Maybe you just want to let people know. You told me this morning what happened, and it's pretty serious. So
Yeah, well, I won't go into full detail for obvious reasons, but my weekend hasn't been the greatest either. Some of you may know from my show, I'm not smiling as much as I typically am. I had surgery. I'm fine. So I appreciate all the prayers everyone sent me. I just have stitches from here all the way over, so I'm sore. But I thought that was going to be the worst part of my weekend. It wasn't. So to talk about this weekend, what happened in the past 24 hours, I have to go back an extra week to actually my birthday. One of my security guards, her family just had a really bad fire, and they sadly lost 10 people in that fire. And without going into full details, it was not an accidental or natural cause. Just going to say that. So here in this community, they decided to hold this rally to help the family with obvious costs and other things, and just kind of have like this dedication event for the family. The short version, somebody ran through the rally. And what I mean by ran through, they used a vehicle and ran through a crowd of people. The short version, we had a huge mass casualty, which is a lot of people hurt, including my coworker's daughter. Now, her daughter survived. She'll be okay. She just got out of surgery today. But there are people who it's not looking so good. We had, I think, a total of 17 people brought in via ambulance or life flight, the helicopter. And it was just an absolute mess yesterday. They're still cleaning up today from it. But it was absolute chaos last night. So I just wanted to go live and let everybody know that I was fine. I was going to go live and let everybody know, how the outcome of the surgery was, that I'm doing all right. But I wanted to get on last night to talk about that real fast. So I'm just asking for prayers for their family. But like I said, it's just an unnecessary event that happened. And it just seems like more and more things keep happening. The past week, it's just been chaotic for a lot of people.
Yeah. Thank you, Raymond. I got my phone up, opened to Parapost Network Central, and Raymond just gave a bunch of hearts. So thank you very much, Raymond. Like always, you're always there to support, and really, really appreciate it. So prayers to those families, and our deepest condolences to the people that. To the families that lost people in that tragedy. It reminds me of something that happened about 4 or 5 years ago here. A guy rented a U-Haul van and drove down Yonge Street, which is the longest street within, I don't know if you've heard of Yonge Street, but it is the longest street, and it goes through the center of Toronto. It's one of the longest streets. It's actually considered one of the longest major streets in Canada.
Wow.
He decided that he was going to rent a van, and he drove down Yonge Street and killed 17, 18 people. And it was an absolute tragedy. It was very popular. It was about 4 or 5 years ago this happened. He just literally had his court, I think about 6 or 7 months ago, after 4 years. And obviously he got life, and he got multiple. And it's a real tragedy when obviously there's mental issues, mental problems when people do that. And I wish people that had these issues would reach out to somebody, and a professional or something like that, and talk to them, and instead of taking somebody else's life. It makes no sense at all. And this guy killed like like I said, like 16, I think it was 16, 17, 18 people just by, and he was actually driving down the sidewalk. And people were unaware, and they were just hit, and it was it was chaotic. And what's interesting is the fact that I am now living in that area where that happened. Like,
oh,
it
wow.
literally happened right in front of, right outside, and really, really sad. But so we got some people waiting in the back. I think it's just Todd in the back, but there is Todd and Marissa. Oh, here comes Marissa. So, like I said earlier in the show, when we first started, if you want to go follow these people and these two and watch some of their stuff on YouTube, their links are in the description. So let's bring up Todd and Marissa from Relatively Haunted. Okay, here we go.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
How you doing? Sorry that we kept you waiting so long in the back. We just had a few things to talk about, and some unfortunate things happened this past weekend.
Sorry to hear about that.
A lot of people, and you know, I just don't get it. I really, really don't understand why somebody would take somebody else's life, and especially at an event like that when they were doing a fundraiser.
Yeah.
And this idiot comes along and unfortunately life ended. I really, really don't understand it, and like, I have trouble killing a spider.
I don't get it either.
Oh, not me. I'm all about that. I'm all about the spider.
You remember when you were a kid, though, and all this kind of started when the guy shot everybody in the McDonald's, and then there was all the post office weirdness. And I remember, like, being, like, as a kid, like, afraid to go to McDonald's for, like, a few weeks after that. And then it probably, like, washed out of my mind. But it's horrifying. Like, all this started way back then, and I don't get it. And we have a young daughter in school now, and you know, sometimes I'm horrified.
Yeah, and it's almost like it's almost like in the States, it seemed to happen like 3 or 4 times a year. You would always hear somebody going, and the term was postal, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
going to a post office and doing what he did, and it's just, again, it just doesn't make sense at all to me. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about you two. So let's get into something that's a tragedy to something that's really scary.
Fair enough.
But again, I want to. I said thanks for when you first came up in the green room. Thanks for coming on, and I appreciate you both coming on today.
That's a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us on.
So I got to watch a lot of your videos in the last couple of days, and I'm interested in getting into the SLS camera later in the show, because I do have some questions about that and about some of your equipment as well. But what I want to start with, and one of you can answer or both of you can answer, what's your origin story? How did you get into the paranormal?
Want me to do it?
Go ahead.
All right.
You know
Okay.
best.
So prior to 2011, the paranormal really wasn't much of a thought to us. We had seen like a Ghost Adventures or a Ghost Hunter and show, and it intrigued me, but it wasn't like, I never had that paranormal experience. Neither did Marissa. And then in 2011, we moved into this house and didn't have no clue it was haunted. And how it started was, we would be sitting on the couch like this, and you could see our bedroom door over to the right, and this 6 foot tall, white, wispy, tall, like, thing would walk by the door like almost every night. And you got to understand, we had just started dating. Like, we're like 3-4 months into this, and I'm seeing this out of the corner of my eye go by, and I didn't want to say anything because I thought she'd think I was a nut job. And again, the paranormal is not like a discussion with us. Like, so after a few months of this, finally, I was like, all right, I got to mention something. I had just seen it. And so I looked at her and I said, hey, when you're watching TV, you ever see anything like weird or funky? And she was like, what? That white thing that walks by the door every night? Thank God you said something. I thought I was going nuts.
I'm like, that thing? No way. You see it too? You're kidding me.
And the bizarre thing is that the paranormal activity like exploded after that, like a bomb went off. It was like this. Now we understand it now because we recognized what was trying to make itself known.
But at the time, it's not like we thought, "Oh, this is paranormal," because it was never a thought. So
I didn't know
it
what
was
the
just
hell
like
it
some
was.
like it was just crazy stuff that was happening to us all the time. We were like, "What the hell?" Like,
Yeah, it started like things would move and disappear, and it actually started our first fights. We had never fought prior to that, and like we're very OCD. Like if I turn the camera right now, you would see our keys over there hanging on hooks and all sorts of stuff. And you'd go to leave for work, and the keys aren't there, and I'd be like, "Yo, babe, I gotta go to work here. Where's the keys? Where'd you put them?" I didn't touch them, like that sort of thing. We'd rip the house apart, be screaming at each other, and then look over, and the keys are back on the hook. It was like that
wow.
sort of thing, and then it would just progress into weirdness. Like the faucets would turn on and off by themselves. TVs that I had owned for a decade before started turning on and off by themselves. We would see shadow figures. We would see other weird stuff. We actually saw one night I was folding laundry, and we had a big like bureau with one of those big mirrors at the end of the bed, and I looked over, and there was a guy standing there, and he was cut off at the waist by the bed, but I could see him in full color, just slightly transparent, and he was like an older like Portuguese guy with slick back hair and like a blue like factory worker suit. And I freaked out, and I told Marissa, I said, I saw him, but I'm not telling you what he looks like in case she ever saw the same thing.
Mhm.
A few months later, she wakes up screaming. Now, remember, the mirror's at the end of the bed. She sat up to go to the bathroom, and he was in the mirror in the same spot, cut off at the waist. But only this time, instead of me being next to the bed folding laundry, she's sitting in bed next to the guy. So she screams her head off. I jump up. I'm grabbing a baseball bat, about to like search the house. And then she said, no, wait. I saw the guy. And I said, what did he look like? I don't know. His face kind of had pockmarks, and he had greasy hair. And I said, yes. I said, what color shirt? Blue. Yes, thank you. It's like that validation for anyone is like so like exciting and so fulfilling to know that you're not nuts, that you saw what you saw. It's crazy. And those are the type of like strange things. We would hear whispering.
oh yeah, the whisper. We were laying in bed one time, and there was a whisper like right over. Like we were like laying like this, and there's a whisper like I could just hear like right above my face, like right in between us. And I'm like, Todd, what the hell are you doing? You know, like stop it, stop. I'm trying to like stop.
She thought I was trying to scare her.
And he was just messing with me, you know. And he's like, well, it's not me. I swear to God, it's not me. And it sounded like his voice. That's why I was like, really, like, what happened again? But this time I was like actually like, looking at him, so I knew it wasn't him, and it still sounded like his voice. There was a whisper right above us. It was just. It
Well,
was
then
just like this.
what ended up happening is I told her to ignore it. I said, you know what it is? It's the ghost. Ignore it. And then it was like a man in the room yelling at us. But you couldn't understand what he said. It went like, "Rah, rah," just like that. It scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And I jumped up and I threatened it. I said, I'll get a priest in here, a medium. I don't care. I'll get you out of here. I said, we don't mind you being here. You don't really bother us. We actually think it's kind of interesting, but if you don't knock it off. And then nothing happened for months after that. After I threatened to get somebody in there to remove it, nothing happened for months.
And then we moved.
Yeah, well, a lot of other weird stuff.
Well, yeah, but then we moved.
Well, you gotta, actually, the one thing we do have to mention is I suffered this bizarre phenomenon there. People call it sleep paralysis. Okay, what I suffered, people may suffer something different. What I suffered was not. I was wide awake. My eyes were open. I could see Marissa. I could see the entire room, and I was paralyzed in this freaky tall, like 7 foot tall, skinny shadow man. I've seen a documentary about him. He calls himself, well, people call him the Hat Man. He's got red eyes. He looks like a Sherlock Holmes victim with no features. I swear to God, this guy, I'm not kidding. He had a top hat. It looked like he had a cloak on. He would never approach me. He would just sit there. And even though he didn't have a face, this is going to sound weird, it was almost as if he was taking satisfaction out of the fact of, listen, I don't get scared by much, but to be paralyzed is terrifying. And to see this thing and not know what it's going to do is terrifying. And I would eventually be able to slightly break out of it and make a noise, and Marissa would wake up, and she would legitimately have to grab me by the shoulders and pound me into the bed to shake me out of it. And sometimes I would snap out of it, start telling her about it, and then fall back into it right in front of her, like slump over and fall back into the paralysis. It was bizarre. And I'm talking, this isn't seconds. This would go on for minutes. Like, it was... Never happened to me before we lived there, and it's never happened to me since. Not once.
It happened quite a bit. I mean,
like
what's funny about that though? What's funny about that? And obviously those were all scary moments, but I think in most people's cases, they would want to stay away from the paranormal. But you guys went towards the paranormal. with all those experiences that you have, why didn't that scare you off?
It actually started almost like an obsession where we didn't know where to go to get help. Again, we didn't watch a lot of shows. We didn't think Jason and Grant were going to pop up and whatever, and we didn't even know if anybody could do anything. So we just started like going to like thrift stores and buying every book on the paranormal we could find, and I would read to her. Not that she can't read, but we would read the books together almost, and we would discuss it. Does this line up with what's going on? Does this not? Is this the reality of? Is it not? We would watch documentaries. We would watch shows, but a lot of it. Listen, I went to college for TV. I get how goofy it can be and what's what. A lot of it doesn't line up with the reality of it, and we wanted to know the reality of what we were going through. The difference between a haunting and paranormal investigating is when you're out there looking for it, yes, you can be startled. To us, having lived through it so long, it's not really scary. It's more exciting. But when you're in your own home and you're going to the bathroom at 3 a.m, it startles you when something pops out in front of you or stuff like that. And it just started this weird obsession with what is this? You know, it seemed like there was two things there. That the Hat Man guy, I would see red eyes around the house, and then this other Portuguese guy. Why is he there? What's this other thing? Is this, you know, we wanted all these answers. And the funny thing is the longer we do this and the more we read and the more theories we go out there and try to prove, and the more questions we answer, the more questions we have. Like, you know, you answer one question and it's like, now I got 15 more, you know?
Yeah. I always classify, sorry, Matt. I always classify paranormal investigators in 3 categories: the hunters, the ones that want the answers, and the scientific ones. I'm more about the wanting the answers. And so I think I'm a lot like you. I always use this tagline, what lies beyond death? And, you know, I've been into places before where I have gotten answers on why it's haunted. And I think of one in particular I did last year. It's called the Streaming Tunnel. Yep. And there's like 3 different stories of this place, of this little girl that died in the tunnel. One was she was sexually assaulted, and then she was killed, and then she was set on fire to burn the evidence. The second story was the parents were going through a nasty divorce, and the father set the house on fire, and the little girl was still in the house, and she got severely burned, and she ran down to the tunnel and died. And then there's another story about, I can't recall what the other story was, but it was funny because I was doing an SB7, and I asked, did you die in this tunnel? And you clearly hear yes. And then the second question, or I didn't ask a second question. It said, did you die in this tunnel? It said yes. I asked the question again, and then over the SB7 it said burnt at home.
Yeah, so
it was and that to me was the answer, and that's the story. That's probably the truth, but I just find it interesting when you hear these different origin stories and people are getting the crap scared out of them, then for some reason they get into it. And you said something at the beginning about being nuts. Anybody that's in the paranormal investigation world are all nuts. Yeah. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry for cutting you off earlier.
No, you're fine. I just wanted to say, guys, before we move on to more questions, bravo to both of you for wanting to look for that knowledge. I know a lot of people who have had these experiences and they want to look for answers, but they're afraid to. They can't break that comfort level. So I just want to say bravo to you both for wanting to find that knowledge. It's a rarity.
I mean, the other passion that came out of it that's like all good, all pure is we try to help people. And when I say help, I mean actually go and help, not go take video and blow them off, not, and we didn't do this for years till we thought we could actually help them. I don't want to go there for a free investigation. These are like families with like kids that are being terrorized. And when we go there, like we can go up to a point where we have a famous Catholic priest that was actually almost shunned by his peers for dealing with the paranormal. He was on a former show, but he doesn't want us to disclose his name because his health isn't that great. And he's afraid everybody would call him for help. But he's an awesome guy, and he does come in the worst case scenarios. But like that's to us far better than going to a famous place. To be able to actually help people and give them resolution, whether even if it's just validation, even if they just wanted to know, I'm not crazy. I actually like us, like we saw these things. That's like one of the best things that can come out of paranormal investigation is if you can actually get to the point where you can help people and you have pure intentions and you actually want to help them. Because again, we didn't know where to go to get help. So when we decided to offer help to people, we wanted to give them that lifeline. And there's always, the factor where they're embarrassed to even ask people for help. And it's one of the reasons why we do the show Wickedly Haunted is to, one, hopefully remove some of the stigma involved with hauntings by showing this evidence. And two, every episode we offer help. And, we'll get a couple calls a month and actually go out and try to help people. And if they want to be on the show, fine. If they don't, that's fine too.
Yeah, it's in. I did an investigation about 3.5 months ago, and a woman that I knew, she wanted her house investigated. So I went to her home, and I was planning on doing a video so I could capture whatever was going on there. She actually didn't want a video done, and I respected that. And but what the real scary thing that was going on in this house, and I'd heard about it, but I've never actually been around it. At nighttime when she was going to sleep, she would hear whispering in her ear, and then in the morning, either her bra was off, her underwear was off, her top was off, and it was thrown across the floor, or on the other side of the room.
Ooh.
So it was actually really, really super scary for her. I actually did a voice recording, and I actually asked the question, are you watching this person? I'm not going to say the person's name. Are you watching this person at night? And I captured on the voice recorder, yes.
Yeah, that's creepy.
And so I knew from there that it was going to continue. And what I was most afraid about for her, that it was actually going to start getting violent.
Yeah.
Like the bra was being taken off and the underwear is being thrown across the room. But I think with something like that, I think it would have progressed to something a little more serious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
it does.
So I actually sat her down. I'm a pretty big fan of just sitting people down in the main room, the families, and saying, listen, I can call in a psychic, I can call in a priest, but at the end of the day, this is your home.
Yep.
You have to take control of your home. So sitting down as a family and saying, listen, you are not invited here. You're not welcomed. We want you to leave. And you have to be firm about it.
Yep.
And she did that. I went back upstairs. I did another voice recording, and I said, are you going to leave? And it said yes. Now, is it really going to leave? I don't know. But, because honestly, and everybody has a different opinion about this, my belief system or what I believe in, I think bringing in a priest, bringing in a medium really isn't going to do anything, to be honest. And I've seen it so many times that a priest has come in and it's actually made it worse than better. So I think really at the end of the day, the best thing for you is to sit down a family and tell it to leave, and you have to be firm about it. At the
end of the day, some of it would have to do with their own religious background, because whether it's us, whether it's a priest, whatever it is, it's and listen, don't get me wrong, we're not like super like ultra religious people, but at the end of the day, it's for us, it's Jesus or God that's going to come in to help. I can command the thing to leave all I want, but if I command it in the name of Jesus Christ, it's going to hold more weight than if not. If a priest firmly believes in his intention is to remove it, if it's just a regular priest who's going to come in and do a blessing and leave, that may not do anything. The priest we deal with, again, it's just kind of like his specialty. When he comes in and he does these things, sometimes it doesn't work right away. Sometimes it takes multiple times. We had to.
Well, I know that this apartment that we're living in.
Tell them about what we're streaming from right now is an old schoolhouse built in 1882. Okay, we moved in. And believe it or not, it was actually haunted. So this is haunted house number 2. Now, at first, Marissa sensed the spirit here, and we ended up documenting who it was, we asked the building manager if the place haunted, and he kind of gave us a freaked out look, and he said, well, this woman died in 2012, and everybody who moves into her apartment, which is not this apartment, but everyone who moves into her apartment complains about things moving around and weird stuff happening, and they move right out. So we ended up investigating, and we caught a picture of this woman, and we spoke to her through our spirit box and talked to her for literally a year and a half about her existence as a spirit.
I looked her up on Facebook and actually got like her actual
But she
pictures.
gave the name to Marissa through the spirit box.
She had a Facebook because she died not too long ago. I contacted her family, brought her family here to speak with her.
The manager only knew her first name. He didn't remember her last name. So when Marissa asked the last name and she gave it to us, and then I'm sitting right here and she looks it up and finds the obit and says, "Is this you?" This is because with the name match. I mean, we're not going to give her last name, but and she said, "Yeah." And then we could speak to her. You know, she unfortunately overdosed in the building, saw her kids still here, standing by her body, and said that's why she stayed. And but she would beg us constantly, "Can you please help me? Please help me get out of here. I'm stuck here." You know, her kids were gone an hour later. They came, took the kids out, and now she's stuck here. And you know, Father did come in, and he did his thing. And Marissa, why don't you tell them what you saw in your own mind's eye as the prayer ceremony was going on?
Yeah, sure. As we were just concentrating on trying to get her to go into the light or whatever it is that may show up. And in really, like, as I had my eyes closed, I could see two beings walking just like almost like down like a long pathway or whatever. And it looked like to me like a sunset almost, because there was a brighter light at the end. I couldn't tell if it was her. I couldn't tell you who the other person was, but I just saw two beings walking towards something, and they were holding hands. And I could only assume that it was Angie, and I don't know who else, but I could only assume that it was her going into the light. I know that we've tried to get Angie to leave, like personally, we've tried to. We've never been able to do it successfully.
The majority of the activity has stopped here since. Sometimes on our show, we would catch EVPs, see weird things.
Orbs even would show up on our show. Yeah.
The haunting here doesn't touch what originally happened to us. Whatever was there had far more. It doesn't even touch what happened to us there. I would see weird stuff here once in a while, hear weird things, but we hope she's gone. We hope it worked.
Where we're going with this was the fact that I'm not really sure, and you're not really sure, and they're not really sure if trying to demand something to leave your home actually.
I don't think any of us can be sure. None of us are dead.
No.
We're not in the spirit world, so how could we really? No, we can only do our best to try to help people, and if validation helps, great. If other things help, great. You know, a lot of it just comes down to intention, belief, and at the end of the day, we can never really know. We just try to help people the best we can. You know,
100%, 100%. And you know, speaking of all your investigations and stuff, can you tell us a little bit about your most recent one or one that's coming up for you guys?
We actually, you guys, obviously, we know about the book Moby Dick, right? Next to the Bible, it's probably like the second best selling book in the world. He wrote it in this city, New Bedford, Mass, which is where we live. And there's tons of old whaling Victorians. We've investigated a lot of them, but we just investigated his sister's Victorian house and he would go there a lot and visit when he was writing the book and stuff. And the lady's trying to get into like an Airbnb, and we just investigated it like a week ago. And we actually had a lot of activity there, a lot of activity. For the first time ever, I'm not going to give the name of the B&B just because this happened, but I went to put a camera upstairs and this black thing whipped by my face so fast. I thought it was a black mist at first. It was a bat. I saw it turn around in the bathroom and take off.
Geez.
The house is split in two, so Marissa's like, lock it in the other side, because it went in the other side. I ran over and shut the door. I said, we'll deal with that one in a couple hours.
See, I don't know about you guys, but when I hear about a bat being in a house, like I think I've had one, but my mind immediately goes to The Great Outdoors, the John Candy movie.
Yeah.
Not to age myself, but I just imagine just dressing up in like a catcher's outfit with a tennis racket, just going to town.
It was crazy, man. I'd never seen that before. I've seen it in review on cameras at like Rolling Hills Asylum. I didn't ever saw it like in live. I saw it in review flying in a hallway and said, "Oh my God, I'm glad I didn't run into that thing." Like, we're not afraid of ghosts, but I'm also with a bat too. We were gonna stay there overnight. We jetted when we were done. We were out of there. only live like 10 minutes down the road. I'm like, I'm not staying. I'm good.
Yeah. Before we get to the next question, I just want to let everybody know that we are going to be showing some videos today. Todd did send me some videos, so we will be showing those videos at some point during this interview. But my next question, and this is kind of a loaded question because I got some other questions to follow up with this. Your favorite, if you were, when you're on an investigation and you're reaching for a piece of equipment, what is your favorite piece of equipment that you will grab for right away? The first thing you want to grab?
The flare.
No, that's hers. That's hers. Actually, what I love doing first, if you're gonna ask me, the first piece I grab is we have an actual REM pod, not one of the things sold online, like the real REM pod from Pro Measure, because I want to make contact with something and really know it's there. So we'll scan the room for EMF and everything. We got one actually with a tripod stand. Gary Golka was nice enough to make me like a little screw-in thing for it, because I wanted to isolate it the best I could. So I tripod it, we put it in the middle of the room, and I just love that it does temperature and procs. And if we can get intelligent questions.
No, we're both wrong.
I think that's in one of the videos that you sent me, right? That EMF that you, I think it's in one of the videos that you sent me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What, my power plant, this thing?
No, the other one, it was on a stand. I think it's an EMF, and it was measuring, I think it's a window, and it was a cold spot or something like that on the window. Is that the one that you're talking about? It's in the video.
No, he's talking about the thing that goes.
The SLS camera?
No. The
piece of equipment. Oh my god!
My God. Yeah, too much equipment. That's the problem now.
Too many toys.
Yeah.
Oh no, not the ultrasonic motion detector, the GS2. I mean, listen. Our deal is this. You mentioned like scientific and want answers. I try to do it in the most scientific way possible. Like, we don't move around locations a ton because we set up equipment everywhere in one area, because if I can get one piece of equipment to go off, it may be anomalous. It's probably anomalous. But if I can get 3, 4, 5 things measuring something, and one of the videos I sent you actually shows this, like we have Ghost Gear makes an ultrasonic motion detector that uses ultrasonic waves.
Oh, that
and then we have the
one
that uses almost thermal detection. And then you have the SLS that's doing 3D mapping. If you can get all 3 of those things to map the same spirit, to me, that's proof. That's almost undeniable proof. It's as good as you're going to get without capturing the Holy Grail on camera walking by you, which is almost never happens, right? So we want so many things popping off to the point where it's hard for anybody to almost be skeptical about it. If I can get an EMF detector, the REM pod, we'll have 5, 6, 7 things going off at once. But a lot of it is due to the first thing I ever invented, which is this. It's called the power plant. You can call it an EM pump, but that's not really what it is. It's got 2 energy pumps in it, but I did a lot of research on like paranormal hotspots. And to me, like, they all seem to have like 2 things going for them, like high earth magnetic energy fields and tons of quartz and amethyst. So I said, well, what if I made an energy pump? I put 2 energy pumps in it to like overload it, and then it's got quartz and amethyst crystals in it. And it feeds the spirits rather than having them suck down my camera and then do one thing and then my night's over, or drain us and then do something. This is like a plug for them.
Oh, and I just want to add that was the one benefit of having lived in a haunted home, is that the spirits were able to validate that, yes, this is helping us. Yes, we need this energy. So Angie was the woman's name that passed in this building, and she would confirm to our spirit box what was working for her the best. So it helps Todd make a lot of equipment,
Well, us too, like the worst thing besides the sleep paralysis was being drained constantly, and I didn't understand why until I put like 3 years of research into this thing, because in both haunted locations we would be so drained that you wouldn't even want to do anything. And you can hear, like, we're excited people. We're very emotional, excited people. Like, we have a lot of energy, and in those places, before this place was cleared, and the other place, man, like, there were days I didn't even want to move, and that's just not me. I'm not a depressed guy. She doesn't have depression, and there were days you'd be depressed, miserable, have no motivation, and I attribute a lot of that to the paranormal activity. So on the ghost shows, I started seeing people, oh, the camera died, my flashlight died, and then something would happen, and they'd go, wow, that activity, it ended as fast as it started, huh? But it was intense for a second. I wanted the answer to that. I wanted the key to that, to keep that going, to keep that wave from ending after like a minute, to go all night. And when we put, like, I make these, like, we'll put 3 or 4 of these out, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop.
Never.
I'm not kidding.
Never. We never have to like look through videos. We can pull up any video during any
It doesn't
moment,
stop.
and there's some sort of activity happening. It's nonstop.
Like, when I tell you I'll get 30 Class A's, I'll get 30 Class A's. It's like, well, like, I don't even have to like slow it down to hear it. I'm like, oh my god. The spirit box works incredible. Everything works incredible.
Yeah.
And listen, I know it sounds nuts because that's not most people's experience, but anyone can come with us, man. Like, it's not tricks. Like, this thing works. Buy one. It works. It works. I'll send you guys one. Like,
Yeah. Are you getting
crazy. It's the key to everything to me. Like,
static and stuff like that?
the one piece.
Yeah, they're cutting
I
out.
couldn't bring it. I'm not
Yeah.
going. I'm not going to you just sit there. I won't do it.
Yeah.
It
So
needs
yeah.
to go
So,
on.
so this is the one piece
Yeah.
I reach for first.
So we turn this on, and
I think that thing's too
then we'll set
close. I think
That's
that
not-
thing's
that's-
too close. We're getting a lot of static.
That's not on, is it? Is it, guys? You don't have that turned on?
Did you step on a cord?
No, I lost the sound.
Well,
Definitely at their end. It's definitely
okay,
at their end.
well, I'm used to having all my internet problems, so I just assumed it was me.
Yeah, and I thought it was me, but it's definitely at their end because Raymond is hearing it.
Mm-hmm.
So they would, which would mean it would be at their end. They're not even getting sound anymore.
Hope they didn't have that thing on.
See, no, because our mic is live. See, look, see, our mic working down there, but this, I can't.
Oh, it's on.
No, I just checked everything. I can't. No.
Oh wow!
Uh,
Static
We
seems-
can't hear you.
You can't hear us.
is that Bryan right here?
So if let me just
Sorry, we
message
can't hear you.
them and see if they can go in and come back out.
A little bit somewhere.
I think he just hinted that he was messaging you.
Yeah, he is. Go ahead.
Let me see.
I don't know.
No, she
We'll be right there, folks. We'll be right there. We just got to figure some things out. See, this is what Brian gets when he invites me on the show. get a
Yes.
bunch of
Go
things,
out and come back in. Yeah.
I don't know. Is it live?
That thing did look cool, though.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. See what happens
That's
when you
weird.
talk about the
Hang on a
paranormal.
second.
Right?
It's on. Listen, it's on. I even put it on the speakers, dude. I even.
No, that was me.
Oh. Oh, I thought that was... Oh. Welcome back.
I'm seeing if it was working, if I got him out and came back in. Can you hear us now?
It'll be delayed.
Well, they lost the static.
How could she pull something? I'm telling you, I can't hear. It's Mercer, don't touch the cords. The microphone's working.
Never mind.
The camera's working. I can't hear. That's nothing. It's nothing, honey. It's the sound. Their sound died.
We're hearing them.
Yeah.
We are hearing.
Julie, get out there.
I just told them we are hearing you.
It's not coming up on anything.
There's still a little bit of interference, but
I wonder what the interference was. Just really weird. All of a sudden, it just started, and this is what I'm telling. This is what me and Lex talk about all the time. Every time we're doing something, a paranormal show or something like that, which is obviously is what we do, but there always something always happens.
yeah. And I think
really
that's
super
hard.
weird.
That's part for, I think, most of our shows, because I always have some sort of issue. I
Okay.
don't know.
Can you guys hear us?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
That was so
I don't know
weird.
what happened. I had to put on mono audio, which is weird, but it just died. I
Well,
realized
it's
we
funny
couldn't hear
because
you.
we started hearing static and stuff like that, and everybody was hearing it. Like I was here, I thought it was at my end. Matt thought the static was at his end, and then then Raymond said something about the static. realizing it was at your end. It was funny because before you guys came back and you could hear us, I said, it's funny, every time you do a paranormal show or something paranormal online, something always happens. And it's a technical glitch at the beginning, or hey, maybe the spirit's still there. Well, I know I had a couple here, and I've already seen it twice while I've been here, and I thought it was already gone. I've seen it twice. I saw it over here, and I saw it over there. You guys are meeting me for the first time, but I can see spirits. I'm a sensitive, actually. And
did you say you saw it here with us?
No, it was behind me. Couple. It was like it was right over here by the. Sorry, right over. I always forget it's opposite. The tree right over here, and then it was on the other shoulder, and it was just walking back and forth. And I thought it was gone. I thought I got rid of it. But at least the little girl's not on my back anymore, because I had a little girl on my back that I brought back from the UK. And she had been sitting on my back for months and just protecting me. And every so often I would start to cough, and it was almost like I was being choked. It was determined the reason she was doing that was because there was something near me, and she was protecting me and holding on to me very tightly. So it's really, really super weird what some of these spirits can do. It's just amazing. So why don't we do this before we get into the next question? Why don't we show some of your clips that you sent
absolutely.
Me? Okay,
I did pull a couple old ones, so my video editing skills have improved. I used to put this awful background music over stuff that I don't do anymore. But a couple of them, like the one from the boarding house, I wanted to show, even though it's almost 2 years old, just because of the clipping.
Well, the Lizzie boarding house is always one to show, I think. Don't you?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It was one of the most haunted places we've ever been. Incredible.
Yeah. So let me just bring this up here. I'm hoping now. I will let everybody know. With Melon, there seems to be an echo. So
it was
we
earlier.
will just.
Should I mute you do that?
Still is.
Am I echoing? Not yet.
You're not.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so I am going to show the first one. And so what we'll do, maybe tell us, am I echoing?
This is a recent investigation we did at a haunted Victorian in New Bedford that was actually on the show Haunting, Season 10, Episode 2, House of Nightmares. And the owner's super nice. This lady Tracy let us in there twice, and the place was extremely haunted, but actually fairly friendly spirits, and the evidence was top notch there. Absolutely incredible.
So this is what I was talking about right here.
Yeah.
Stand here.
Ultrasonic motion detector.
Yeah. So let's
play this. This is a great example of corroborating evidence. That's why I pulled this clip.
There you go.
6 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet. Look at that. Something's bouncing around in there for sure. Look at that. Somebody's absolutely moving around in there.
So you're about 3 feet from us right now. 2 feet.
2.7.
You want to come closer? Oh, 8 feet. Come a little bit closer?
Whoa.
Yeah. Oh, 3 feet from us, a yard from us.
If you'll notice here, the top of the GS2 laser grid points out the direction of the anomaly that it's mapping. You can see that it's mapping something ice cold on the screen, and the direction is clearly pointing to the right. If you also notice in the middle on the full spectrum camera, the ultrasonic motion detector is also pointed in that same direction, which basically means that both devices are validating each other, which is what we strive for on each and every investigation.
Okay, you can see him on that floor right there. That's good.
That? Oh, whoa, I just had some.
Behind. Right there on top of the piano.
Oh, right there. Look, somebody's sitting in the chair. Legit. Oh, no, another person. There's a third person. Sitting on the couch.
With his legs crossed. Oh my God, arms up.
Absolutely.
You can hear every device in the other room going off. So we have all sorts of company in the men's and women's parlor here today. Amazing. It looks like the person's like putting on a show over by the piano. It does, like they're like in the old movies when like the actresses would like dance around the piano and like sprawl out on it, like sing and stuff. That's what it looks like. Like it looks like they're like on their arm, like sideways and stuff. It's crazy. And it looks like this guy right here is watching the show. You know what I'm saying? Are you watching the show, sir? Who's putting on a show on the piano?
I think he was watching you guys.
That is absolutely.
You can see his head above the chair, and he's kind of like spinning it around.
Mm.
What are you singing? Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my rock.
Great karaoke.
Is that your jam? I don't know too many oldies. Oh my god, it looks like it's touching the head of the other one.
Well, that was interesting.
It's a Christmas.
Absolutely bonkers over there.
Oh, the guy told you to retire.
Come on, man.
Oh, then it said non-stop, then it said devil.
Non-stop devil? Good God, man. My singer's not that bad, is it? Just there is fees all over this room. Absolutely intense. Where'd he go? The show over? Oh, there you are, sir. Oh, he's gone. It's like, it's almost like they're popping in and out of their dimension. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause it's not like they're walking off camera. Mm-hmm. They're popping in and out, but it looks like they're doing something like a real live person would do. Like when it was on the couch, it was in the chair, it looked like it was chilling. This person up here on the piano, like, I don't know what they're doing, but... Oh, look, he's back now. Is that chair in this dimension? Are you in our dimension?
Yeah, it's 3 legs.
Look, he's dancing.
Or is that the middle leg?
Yeah.
Yep.
What a video of that,
Man, you like me, you got the long ribs, you must be lean.
Flexible.
No,
Yeah.
Make sure to get a picture of that or on video. It said piano. If that's not an intelligent response, I do not know what is. What's incredibly
Oh, that was
sad
cool.
about this EVP is that it sounds like a child's voice, and 2 children actually died in this home of illness.
So this is song 9 feet away from us, 2 feet away from us. Oh, hello, come closer.
This is just...
8 feet, 2 feet.
Then this thing, it's mapping the guy on the GS2. That thing's picking up him at all sorts of depths from 1 foot to 10 foot. He's clearly there. Oh, did somebody just map in? Look, oh, there he is. Look. And there he is finally. In the chair. On the couch, he was on the couch. And as soon as I said he's on the couch, he left. Crazy stuff.
Now, what I find interesting about that, let me just pop this back up. I'm just going to hide this on stream. What I find interesting about that is it almost seemed, now this is my opinion, it almost seemed like they were talking amongst themselves, not necessarily you both.
Yeah,
so it almost seemed like it was a family gathering that maybe they did on a Sunday, and one of them played the piano and the rest of them sat around the room and watched, which I found interesting.
Like, there's a men's parlor on one side and a ladies' parlor on the other side, and we were in the hallway in between. So in the beginning, we're looking in the men's parlor, and back in the day, they would have big gatherings like you're talking about, but the men would be in there smoking cigars, and the ladies would be in there talking about whatever. And all that beeping, and the GS2 is the men's parlor. And then we flipped and saw all that piano playing and dancing in the ladies' parlor. But the activity never stops behind us. That thing's beeping the whole time, almost like the guy's pissed that we turned around to give them attention or wants his attention back. It never stops. and that beeping actually is that ultrasonic detector tells you if it's going towards you, away from you. So it was really funky, and it was really the first time we had used it. And to see something go from 1 foot to 8 feet to 2 feet is crazy, because we've tested it before, and it's on point to the inch. Like if I walk back and forth. So to see that, it's
would you because of that was going on, and it seemed like they were talking amongst themselves, would you consider that more of a residual than
it's
was there
100%.
anything? Obviously we didn't see the whole video, but was there any intelligent responses towards you two? So
obviously I didn't play the part with the spirit box, which we went up to the 3rd floor there, which is very active, and we used the spirit box, and we got a lot of intelligent responses. But the Paratech is what you're hearing. It's almost like a little box, like an Ovilus that you hook up to an app if you want a list of the words, and it has a couple different modes like yes, no, and stuff. But we just use the word mode. But I bought it because the box is actually pretty scientific, the way guy at AppyDroid did it, where it resets itself to avoid like false positives. Every time a word comes out, it won't kick out another one for like 8 seconds. And for something to go in there, it has to pick like a name, a thing, or a place. Then it has to pick the letter that it starts with. It's like really like a 5-step process for a spirit to pick a word out of that. So when like piano comes out of it, that's not coincidence. The thing, somebody's playing the piano, that comes out. To me, that's pretty incredible. And it was doing that for a while.
It's a lot of
and it does. This is like a strange phenomenon. And I'd like to get your opinion on this, because it happens all the time. A lot of times we'll start off with like the flashlight and get the yes nos, or the REM pod or something like that. And then if we put out something like the Paratech, we'll get responses through that. And then if we put out, I invented a spirit box a couple of years ago that's, I kid you not, man, it's like damn close to direct communication. And when that comes on, like all the other stuff like seems to stop. Like the more easy it is for them to interact with that particular spirit, the rest of the stuff will stop. And to me, that's kind of convincing too. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody's answering questions through the REM pod, and then all of a sudden they'll stop using it when you turn something else on. It's just like that. That's always interested me. I always like to get people.
Yeah. Your thoughts on that, Matt?
I mean, I can see it being both, like 2 ways. I can see it. Yes, it may be easier for them, so that may be what they're using. Or it could just be the fact that they just don't have enough energy to manipulate multiple devices at one time. So that's the beautiful thing. Well, see, and that's the beautiful thing in this field is anything's possible. That's one of the first lessons I teach new investigators is just keep your mind open, because anything is possible.
Exactly. No, I agree with you 100%, which is why I whether I initially agree with anyone's opinion or not, I want to hear it and chew on it for like a day after, just because maybe at first it didn't make sense, but then we'll compare it to an experience we had and be like, you know what, maybe that does make sense. Like you asked if it was residual or haunting. I have a hard time with residual, especially with spirits. And to me, I have a hard time wrapping my mind around it, because we've come across so many intelligent spirits. To think of a spirit that's mindless, that's just, to me, that maybe that's like a ghost loop, because the spirit here did tell us that she relives her death and she has no control over it, doesn't know why it happens, when it happens, but she will go through her like whole death spiel. She doesn't, they obviously have no time, but
it's interesting. It's interesting. There's a place about an hour from me. It's called Ghost Road. And the very famous thing that's seen there is, first of all, long story short, the guy died on a motorcycle. It was a motorcycle crash. He hit a barb wire fence, and his head, unfortunately, his head came off, and it hit the rock.
Yeah.
And so that is the story there. Now, when people go there, what they see is, and it seems to happen every time, is like the motorcycle coming down the road, and you see the headlight of the motorcycle, and then it disappears, and it continues on and on and on. It's like a loop. It's definitely a loop. But when they say the loop happens, it's usually residual. Now, the interesting thing about that is, for example, me and my buddy were there filming, and he put his flashlight on the ground. Now, with this particular flashlight, it's really hard to turn on. Really difficult to turn on, and it's an actual button that you have to push. So he put it down on the ground, and he looked down on the ground and goes, "My flashlight's on." And I didn't turn it on, and we had a chuckle about it because we thought it was funny. And I said on the SB7, "Did you turn on the flashlight?" And over the SB7, it said, "Sure did." And you know,
That's
and it was
awesome.
very, and you know, like some people say, "Oh, well, maybe it was a radio or something." Well, no, this wasn't a radio. But anyways, it said "Sure did," and it was very, 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 very clear, very, very clear. And but so I don't know. It's just.
I've been trying to wrap my head around it for a long time,
with
you
what
know?
you asked me earlier, or what you asked us earlier about what our opinion is, I'm really on the fence about apps on the phone, and like, let's be honest. I think we all know that spirits can manipulate kind of basically everything.
Yeah.
And you know, I know a lot of necrophonic was really, really popular for a long time. People have kind of gotten away from the necrophonic a little bit more.
I could do a whole nother show on that with you.
Yeah, well, you know, the funny thing is the person that created it is a known faker. So that's why
Keith,
we're on the fence. We're on the fence about it, but we won't get into that. Lex would.
If you want to do another show on just that app, I'll come back on. And listen, I will tell you, I did like a 6-month study on it. Spoke to like 30 investigators, not on the reality of it, on something else. Like it seems like when you first use it, it's all like roses and spirits coming through, and it ends up becoming over time. And almost everyone I spoke to, everything out of it becomes demon this, evil this, gonna kill you. I used to say it was gonna rape my wife. We probably stopped using it.
But what was really, really creepy is that it always gave our names. It always spit out our names.
I'm not. I think it's legit, but I think there's something wrong with it. From like it does something bad. I don't know what it does, but
if you really the reason Lex and I are on the fence about it, because it's the only app that doesn't ask for permissions for media and the voice and stuff like that on your phone. It's the only app that doesn't ask that.
Yeah.
All the other apps do.
I don't think I've
So going back to what you originally said, what you thought our advice, or maybe what our advice was, or thoughts.
I just want like your
Paratech,
thoughts on like how does residual
with the
really happen?
Paratech,
Instead of it's a tape playing, like get like a real thought on it.
Yeah, well, you know, like Lex has actually plugged that into his laptop, and he's actually got behind that what people don't see. So it's actually a word bank, and there's actually words going throughout the whole Paratech thing that spits out. Now, I believe it's this one, the Paratech one that you're using. Don't quote me on that, but it actually, once it goes through all the words, it goes back to the beginning and starts using those words again. So I think, my personal opinion, compared to the other one that you were using, probably the other one was a little more legitimate, and the one that the Paratech necessarily wasn't. Or
are you talking about the app or the machine?
The app.
Yeah, because it's the box. The app. So he makes a like an Oculus box called the Paratech. Yeah. You just Bluetooth it to the app because it'll keep track of the words.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we don't use the app; we use the box. Okay. It's like a $200 box you can buy.
Yeah. And it probably does the same thing, I imagine.
I don't know.
But they
you know what?
It's above my pay grade, man. I don't build my software, and I can only do so much.
We've gotten like 3 or 4 words that came out at the same time.
Yeah, listen, we used an app that was on the phone, just the phone, a word bank app. What was it? The Perilous. And we caught an orb materialize out of the phone, turn into a mist and shoot off screen as it was saying a word. So I've never like I happen to have and it was on I make two SLSs, one with the Xbox 360. I don't sell the other one; it's way too expensive. The Xbox One. And you asked about the tablet. I heard you guys talking earlier. The one for the Xbox One requires like a $400 tablet. That's why I'm not even going down that road. But I did build one for us because it's a completely different technology. There's almost no false positives. But I had it on the table and the phone was in front of it. So it 3D mapped basically not. Have you ever seen it with the IR screen it has as well? Like those cameras have an IR and a colored screen. It was on the IR screen. This bubble came out of the phone and shot off screen and turned into like this black mist as it shot away as it was speaking a word that was compelling to what we were saying. Just a weird note, you know?
Yeah, and just going back to your SLS camera. You know, me and Lex have spoken about this on previous shows. Everybody knows the Ghost Tube is a pile of crap. And you know, Ghost Tube app it's just junk. It's fake. It's not real. And have you heard of the Ghost Tube?
Oh, Ghost Tube. Yeah, I know what it's talking about.
So basically, you can get voices on it, and you can get like it's almost like a fake S.
That's not how the SLS works.
So in that particular app, if you're facing like I had a buddy, he downloaded it and he was pointing it towards a poster. And there was a man standing in a poster. Well, it actually showed the stick figure because that man was there. Now, do you think any possibility that could be happening with the same thing with your SLS?
Well, the SLS, the V1, not the really expensive one, the V1 made with the Xbox 360 was originally made to map people playing video games. It is vulnerable to false positives. If you map a coat rack, a tall lamp, a Christmas tree, something like that. But if you understand how the technology works, you understand almost right away what it is. Because if I map a coat rack, it will show a person, but it won't move. Its body will be inside the object. It won't. That's why we try to say, you know, raise your hand, shake my hand, do something. When I mentioned the guy's head above the chair, okay, to me that speaks more of a non-false positive. The thing was banging away on the piano, jumping up and down. But if I actually, there was a part in that video when we played it on Wickedly Haunted. It's just a much longer video, and I map a grandfather clock, and a thing pops up. I said false positive right away and move away from it. If you know how to use the technology, it can be useful. If you don't, like I see on TV and online a lot, it's vulnerable to false positives. You have to know what you're looking at. When it maps a real person, you can see the outline of the body with almost like a skeleton inside of it. When you see the skeleton by itself, you know, we've seen a lot of weird things. Like when it first appears, we've seen it crumpled up in a ball and then unwrap itself almost like in a horror movie where they're like their bones are snapping and they come out of there. Like, you know what I'm saying? If they crawl out of like a hole or some crazy thing, what looks like that, if it shows up on a blank wall or a ceiling where there's no reason for it, probably, you know, something paranormal. But you got to get it to try to interact with you. You got to get it to try to do something. Unless you point it at a piano and somebody's banging away on the keys, then to me, you know, that's probably a spirit in there interacting with you. But yeah, absolutely, it's vulnerable to false positives. Now the V2, which is made with the Xbox One, okay, so the first one uses thousands of little infrared dots to map the room. This one uses what's called time of flight, where it shoots out a sonar beam, hits solid objects, comes back, and then the software algorithm maps the entire room. And it is not vulnerable to false positives, as far as I know. So if it maps a skeleton, which is extremely rare, by the way, you know, it's usually pretty compelling because it shows like 28 joints and everything. But more than that, that second one has shown us so many weird, I mean, I don't know if I can swear on here, I'd swear, like so many bizarre ass things that like I can't even explain. Like people say orbs of dust, but we've seen them on this camera looking like three-dimensional beach balls, only it looks like a bubble you would blow out of your mouth floating by, and like and then changing form into a mist and shooting into the ceiling. The first time I used it, I caught that and I said, what the hell? It's almost like it's looking through the veil at some points. And the best thing about it is we're on the first SLS, the infrared screen is almost non-usable. This one it's clear as a day. You can use it as a static cam, and it's a three-dimensional screen, and it records both simultaneously. So I can show it to you both ways. It's really compelling. It blows my mind sometimes. It blows my freaking mind sometimes.
Well, let's get. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I was just gonna say. Well, I know for me personally, some of the apps and stuff, I'm not a fan of. Even an Ovilus, I'm not a big fan of. I've said it on my show numerous times. But it all comes down to me for validation.
Yeah.
No matter what technology you're using, whether it's an SLS, SV, whatever you're using, as long as you can validate your evidence, and it works for you, by all means. But
yeah, exactly.
if you can't validate what you are getting, then to me that's not evidence. If you cannot validate, and I think us as investigators, that's what we need. We need that validation to promote that evidence. Otherwise, it's great piece. It looks cool, but you can't validate it. To me, it's your responsibility not to use it as evidence.
I'm glad I took that description of the three things now from the screen, guys.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go on. Yeah.
The last thing I want to do is show something fake. I got better things to do than that. And Chris and I will fight over evidence because if we both don't agree on it, won't show it. And we'll argue about stuff sometimes that maybe she thinks is and I don't, and vice versa. Or even EVPs, like it has to get stamped by both of us before we show it, because we don't want to show anything that's not legit to us or the world for that matter.
Yeah. So this is the Lizzie Borden house, I guess. So we'll play this clip and see what we got here.
Can you say your name, please? Abby, is that Abby?
I already heard it. Abby? Can you hear me okay?
Beg? Again? She said beg again.
Beg.
Beg for what?
Abby, can you just repeat? Who'd you say it was that murdered you?
Lizzie.
Right?
So Lizzie was the murderer, just to confirm? Say her name. Look, flashlights. Yeah, you used the flashlights to confirm. Yeah!
Say it again.
I'm sorry, I'm not celebrating about your murder. I'm celebrating because we have it on tape who killed you.
When I saw that earlier, I laughed.
Wow.
Really?
Andrew, I have a question for you. Are you here?
John, is that you? Move your arm. Move your arm.
What did that just say?
Did it say Lizzie?
It says me.
Is Andrew here in this room?
He's knitting.
He is.
Wow.
Andrew, are you here with us?
No, I don't think he is. Lizzie did it.
John.
Yep. Do you know that for it's been 1892, 130 years. It's been 130 years.
Who did you say? Abby, who did you say did it?
There's another question that everybody wants to know. Was Andrew asleep when Lizzie attacked him?
No.
I told you.
Thank you.
So, did Lizzie wake Andrew up from his nap and then kill him? Why? Do you know why Lizzie killed you? Who's touching that device?
This place right here is probably the most haunted place we've ever been.
That is.
Okay.
Look at that. Everybody touching that? Does he want this out?
Get off.
What's he? This camera works so good that. It's the slow motion replay of those two incredibly brightly lit orbs that shot down from the ceiling. that what you just said?
I'm getting bad feelings.
It's crazy. Look at this. It's too close home. Look at this. There you go. Woo!
Did you say all the rest of them?
Okay. If you were standing here right now, you heard Ed come out of the bank. Okay, we got SOS figures going. We got the red pod. Somebody's like basically like swinging around on that antenna right now. That is nuts.
Don't use that thing as stripper pole for crying out loud. Get off of that.
Seriously. Look at that. Now, we have this thing, the static detector's on. You reset it, and the blue one went on. Look, Brandon, look.
I thought the thing is still going.
But look, now the static detector's on, look. And every time I try to reset
That's
it,
going
it
on.
goes.
Look at it.
Look.
Oh my God.
Watch this, watch how I reset it. The red one keeps going on. It keeps going from positive to negative ion. Oh, now reset.
Look at this over here.
That's crazy.
This is nuts.
Oh, yeah.
I've never even seen anything like this ever. What you're looking at right now is a view from a
So here's that
mapping
view.
camera, which shows the infrared side on the right-hand side and the 3D mapping side on the left-hand side. On the 3D version right here, you can see something is forming on the ceiling, and there is nothing else there except an empty ceiling. As we move closer up, if you look over to the left-hand side, it looks like some sort of freaky, demonic head is forming over there. Now you can see that it is filled in a little bit more. I'm pointing to both sides of the ceiling. The infrared side shows nothing there. The 3D side shows something manifesting. It looks like it is filled in a little bit more on this 3D mapping view, and it is about to become something so horrifying you are not going to believe your eyes. Here you can see what looks to be a huge demonic creature upside down, crouching on the ceiling like a lion. His mouth is open, his tongue is sticking out, and he has extremely long horns coming out of his head. I have flipped the image around so you can get a better view of what I was talking about. The horns are now pointing up, and this demonic entity is crouching down up there like he's ready to pounce on someone. It looks as if the flashlight is slowly pushed off this table. It had sat motionless there for 30 minutes as we walked all around it, and it never moved an inch.
No.
So
a lot of stuff going on in there.
Yeah. The place was nuts.
Wow.
Like really, even from setup, it took us 2 hours to set up because back then we used to make the mistake of turning on equipment as we were turning on cameras, and the equipment would start going off. So with an investigation, you never know what you're going to get, right? So we would start investigating. Now it's turn on the power plants, then the cameras, then we put out equipment, because otherwise it'll stuff will just keep going off. It'll just drive us nuts. So that place, it took
that was cool.
literally 2 hours.
That was definitely cool. Very, very cool. You want to move on to the next question, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely.
We've gone way over time because I don't know what it is. When you get into the paranormal and start talking, time goes like that.
I know, we could do it all day.
I
know.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I will say before I ask this, I really like the flashlight at the end of that last clip, because if you watch, you can actually see it being pressed. Yeah. That is really cool. Which you showed Lizzie Borden in a couple other great places, but I wanted to know, so at all this time, what has been your guys' favorite place to investigate?
Probably the place where I just showed, SKPS. We've been there twice. I didn't show it, but she gets a rock thrown at her in the basement. I get a rock thrown at her, but we actually she throws the rock back, says, "Here, you can have it." And it's not the best quality, but 2 rocks actually levitate off the ground and shoot off camera. I actually have it in the video, but it's not the best quality. It's not like the flashlight. We caught an apparition walking by. Unfortunately, the camera was like this far from the bottom of the window, and it walked by a door. So again, pointed in the wrong spot. Well, not the wrong spot, just you can't see it that great. But the place is just off the hook. What that scene with the REM pod and the EMF and the flashlight and the orbs and the static, that's how that whole entire place was the entire time we were there. It never stopped. It never stopped. It was absolutely insane. And we went back and it was the same thing. We just love the place. The history is great. It's a fantastic place. It's a massive mansion. Massive mansion. We love
I
it.
love places like that.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely love them.
It's like a time warp. You know what I'm saying? Some of those places you go into, it's like walking back in time. If they have it set up right too, forget about it. And I think that, that can obviously lead to spirits lingering maybe longer than they should.
Yep, 100%.
I would agree. I'm going to ask this question to Marissa. What has been one of your scariest moments or place that you've investigated?
Prison? Prison? Oh,
No, not the prison. I would probably say Rolling Hill.
Rolling Hills Asylum.
Yeah, I'd have to say that, or the cemetery.
Yeah, we've never been to a place where every door you walk, it's 53,000 square feet. Every door you walk by felt like somebody was standing there, like grilling you as you walked by, like giving you a dirty look. Like, the place was incredible, but just
it was very dark.
It was very weird,
and there were just so many different emotions that I kept feeling, and I always felt like there's somebody right on my shoulder, or I don't even know. We got a lot of activity there, but it was just kind of a creepy place to be. It was huge, and we didn't know where we were going. It was very dark, and I think that was probably like the creepiest place that we've been, for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't like the energy at Burlington County Prison either. I loved the activity, but the energy in prisons and places, it's so bad. Like, you can just feel it's very heavy. It's just drain. I hate to use that word because everybody uses it, but it's not even the right word for it. It's negative. It's bad. You can feel the bad energy in there. Like, I'm not saying there's inhuman spirits there, but it's just bad. It's bad energy. Yeah. Great activity, bad energy though.
I think that's with most prisons and asylums, right? Because we all know what most of these places, what happened into these places most of the time, and it's usually somebody getting killed, or back when the asylums, I guess, were quite popular around the world. We all know what was going on inside those asylums. Well, we know more now than what maybe people knew at the time, and it's such a tragedy when you. I was in Montreal a couple of weeks ago, and I did an investigation in Montreal, and we investigated this pool, and the pool's attached to a hospital that's not open anymore. Well, I found out during that investigation, and the person I was with was 13 Spirits Paranormal. He told me that they were doing a lot of experiments on kids and shock therapy and all those different kinds of things. And a lot of these kids were dying. Well, they weren't burying them and giving them gravestones. They were basically just dumping them behind the pool and burying them. And supposedly there's like 50 kids that are buried behind this pool. And just the way people were treated
it's
back in those days, it was horrible. And I think in some ways when we walk into a place and we're able to connect with the spirit and let them know that it's okay, you can cross over, don't be scared. And if they do, it's just, for me, it's satisfying. I think it is with any investigator, honestly, if the investigator's going in with the right intentions. And what I mean by that is right intentions, meaning they're just not going in there hunting for an EVP and an actual apparition or whatever it may be. They're actually going there trying to help them, in some ways. And, I got a video coming out soon in the next couple of weeks. I did an investigation, and it's really, really sad, to be honest. This investigation that I did, it's called Lions Valley Park. It's going to be up on Paraflix. It's a bridge. It's a valley. It's a bridge, and the bridge goes over 16 Mile Creek. Well, up on the hillside, there's a graveyard, and the hill is crumbling. Well, the real sad thing about all of that is, because it's crumbling and the graveyard's right there, there's actually coffins rolling down the hill and going into the stream and floating down the stream away. Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's what, and they're not fixing it.
There's absolutely nothing they can do.
They can't take the coffins out before they float away or anything like that. Give them a
Well,
proper
they've been
burial?
there since 1850s,
Oh.
between 1826 and 1876, and there has been coffins floating down the stream, and we figured that maybe one of the reasons why the bridge is haunted.
Oh yeah. For sure.
And you know, there's another story of a Blue Ghost tunnel, and this is, you know, it's upsetting and stuff like that. Like, it was built for the trains, and 107 people died. 107 people died during the building of this tunnel, and then when it opened, there was an actual train crash, which killed 2 people. But in order to build this tunnel, they had to move the canal. When they moved the canal, they submerged 900 burials,
Oh,
and they're still underwater today. And they tried to remove them, but if you go there at the right time of the day and the sun is shining, you can actually see the gravestones still there at the bottom of this canal. And it's just really, really sad. And I'm definitely, and I think Matt is, and I think you both are as well, that we're really there to not only find the answers, but if we can help them, we can help them too, you know?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I get conflicted over the famous places when you go places and there's a contract and it's like, you cannot free the spirit. You cannot use sage. You cannot. It's like indentured servitude, like slaves, like spiritual slavery. And like we talked to the priest we were talking about for this for a while, because he's the one who actually like kind of brought it up and made us start like really chewing on it. And now, like, sometimes I almost feel bad about it. Even though we have the right intentions, we want to hear their story. We want to give them an outlet. But we know that so many people go there, like that boarding house. I know you're over time, but what they have it set up with hatchets everywhere, even on the dishwasher koozie, like signs, if you have a question, just axe it. Copies of their bashed in skulls in the dining room where you eat breakfast, like fake copies of their skulls at funeral, autopsy pictures on the dining room table. Now, if you're a spirit and you're trapped in that home and every day you walk by your bashed in skull in a dining room cabinet, or pictures of yourself dead on the ground, and then assholes come in and start asking you questions that are rude and provoking, you can hear her say at the end, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of my life. Like, I want this done with, because it goes on. Like, actually, Abby Borden broke my heart because I listened to these EVPs and these spirit box things, and she thought we were really there to help her, but you sign a contract, you can't help them. And her and Andrew actually argue, talk about spirits talking to each other. They argue. He says that we're ghost hunters. She says, no, they're here to help us. And then about an hour in, she realizes that we're not there to help her. And he like throws it in her face. Like, listen, I got the video. It sounds crazy, but it's actually heartbreaking to listen to. And from a psychological standpoint, to put myself in their shoes, I can't even imagine what that must be like for eternity to have that situation. You know, haunting's something where it's a virgin haunt, or people don't, but to have that for 20 years and have like all these stupid pictures of axes everywhere, and you know, you try to be as close as you can, but
yeah, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of big popular places that you've seen on Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures that have that in the contract when you're signing, that you're not allowed to release the spirit, which I think is absolutely outrageous. You know, I don't get it, but anyways, so we're coming to the end of the show. Now, if you've ever seen Through the Lens before, now I'm putting Matt on the spot, and I told him I was going to put him on the spot earlier today.
I'm used to it.
Now, if you know, I know you're meeting me for the very first time and seeing Through the Lens. I think you've seen Through the Lens a few times, but we always have this question at the end, and Lex likes to spin it in a way because he listens throughout the show on this last question. So, Matt Barron, right here. We always make a joke, me and Lex, because me and Lex ask a certain number of questions, and you know, Matt likes to use those questions on his show. So it's been a long-standing joke of copywriting.
Oh,
Lex
absolutely.
always talks about copywriting.
Oh, absolutely. And it's all in love. We all love each other.
Yeah. So Lex, so last week we had the Tipsy Ghost on. And just a reminder to everybody that's watching the show right now and is going to be watching the replays. These two were on Talking with the Source a few days ago. So if you want to go check out that interview, go check that out as well. And if you want to go over to their YouTube channel, they also show some of their equipment that they make and sell. And I will let you know, I watched the video today of them selling the SLS camera for $285. So if you are one of those people that have dreamed of having an SLS, now is the time to get it, because normally it's anywhere from $500 to $800, and these two are selling it for $285. So you definitely want to go check that out.
Not a piece of garbage either. It's high quality. Like I won't sell.
Yeah.
I won't sell garbage. I won't do it.
You definitely do not seem like the kind of person you put your heart into it. You can obviously tell, and that's one thing I loved when I was watching some of your videos yesterday and today. I've never seen a person get so excited when they capture something than Todd right here, and he jumps up and down when he captures something, and I think it's incredible, and that
It's
to
exciting.
me shows passion.
Yeah.
Passion of what he does, and I appreciate that because I do the same thing sometimes. So getting back to the last question, this is going to be a test for Matt, because last week's question was really all over the place.
Oh yeah. I didn't write that one down, so I got to thank Lex for that one. And actually, I'm gonna pull the reverse card, and I'm gonna actually ask it my way that I spun it. So as kind of a
You're
tip of the
just
hat
getting
to
it.
Lex.
You're just getting it. You're just
See
avoiding.
if Lex
it.
can
That's
remember
all you're
this
doing.
one. See if Lex can remember this one.
Oh, okay.
But so no, the question is actually really good. It's a really good question, and we hear about origins, and it makes our guests really want to think about things. But here it is. So if you had your choice, all the time in the world, you had no money, was no option. You didn't have to worry about it. Where are you going to investigate? What's on top of your bucket list? Where's the dream that you're going?
You talking about a location or a whole spot?
Wherever you want. Money's no
if it was a
object, time's no-
location,
Yep.
Lep Castle. Give me a night in Lep Castle. The entire
I
night
like
in
this
Lep
guy.
Castle.
I like
would
this guy.
love to go up to the Bloody Chapel. Even from what I've seen, even when ghost hunters went there, they were getting crazy activity, and to see a guy get slammed on the floor and seeing green heads around. I mean, that place, the history's phenomenal. I'd go to Lep Castle. If it was a whole place, give me a week in the UK at Chillingham or
Anywhere.
the Scotland, the underground there with the Mr. Boots and all that stuff. Like even the grave, we're big on graveyards, like that, the graveyard and all the graveyards, the entire place. It's thousands of years old. Every inch of soil is haunted. I mean, I would love to go there. It's my.
Yeah, I went to the UK in March this past.
Did
March.
you?
And I did 11 investigations in 14 days.
Wow.
And the one spot that I've always wanted to go to and I got to was Sherwood Forest.
Really?
And the place was incredible.
I've heard it's pretty
Absolutely.
I'm still waiting on that video of you and Lex in tights.
So the long-standing joke was, up till the time I left, that everybody wanted me and Lex to wear tights, because I was with Lex, and to wear tights and skip down the Sherwood Forest path. Unfortunately, that did not happen.
Always
or maybe
next
it
time.
did, or maybe it did. We just haven't shown it. No, just kidding.
Only on
No,
Paraplex.
just kidding.
Only on Paraplex.
Yeah, only on Paraplex.
Hey, it may work. It may spark activity. Who knows?
Yeah, and Marissa, where would you want to go?
Oh, yeah, no, I have the same answer. Todd and I have always wanted to go to the UK, really anywhere, honestly, anywhere in the UK, because everything there is just so old.
We used to love like Most Haunted because they would go to places and they would be like, this place is relatively new. It was built in 1580. And the next week they'd be at a castle that used to be a Roman fortress. And then the castle was built in 1100 and 10,000 people were tortured in the dungeon. you know, to me, like those locations are so incredible. They'd blow my mind just to think of the history. I'd be like, wow.
I think that the older the spirits are, the more strength they have.
Well,
Almost.
the more they know how to manipulate objects, interact with the living, because they, like a piano player, the more they play the piano, the better they get. The older a ghost is, the more they know how to use that lack of body to interact with the living world. Oh, I'm sorry.
Twice.
It's just that theory, you know. So they must have some good
gosh.
ghosts over there if that theory is true.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's we went to a place called Fort Whitley, and you both would love it. It was used in World War I, World War II, and it's tunnels, and they're about 60 feet under the ground, and their tunnels go for ages and ages, and there's like everywhere, and it was an absolutely incredible place. I tell anybody that has the opportunity to go to the UK, go, because it will be an experience that you will never ever forget, and I surely won't. And I'm actually going back, not next year but the year after, but this time. And I don't know if Matt knows. I don't know if you saw the show or not when we were talking about it. But this time I'm taking Patty with me.
I did catch that, and I am jealous. I'm
just jealous that you're going back to the UK or have been there at all.
But you know what, though? The Queen deserves it. The Queen deserves it.
Yeah, you know who we're talking when we say Patty, right?
Like old
Patty,
manor
right?
houses? Of your 11 spots, what was the craziest place you went besides, like, sure, I know it was your favorite place. What was the craziest place?
Unfortunately, we never got into castles, and that's the next thing we're going to be doing. We're going to be getting into more castles. The craziest spot, and you know what? It's funny. I am not big on graveyards. I'm not. And I have my opinions, and so does Lex and stuff like that. And everybody has their different opinions. But we hit this graveyard. And you know, when we walked up to it, I go, oh yeah, graveyard and stuff like that. And when we walked in, it was like dead silent. It was like you could hear a pin drop on the cement, or in front of the mausoleum that we were doing. We were doing a mausoleum, and long story short, the mausoleum was built for this couple. And her husband died. Unfortunately, I guess he was a bigger man, and his coffin wouldn't fit in the mausoleum. So he got moved to another graveyard, and she died like 30 years later. And then because he wasn't going to be in there, she wasn't going to be in there. So they were both buried. He was brought back to this graveyard and both buried in this graveyard beside each other. Well, actually more like head to head. So we were doing the cat balls on the stairs. And Matt has seen a clip of that, a little bit of a clip of that, and we were getting intelligent responses from the cat ball. There was one particular question I asked, and this is a question that I think a lot of paranormal investigators have. When somebody dies, and then years and years and years go by, the partner dies, you wonder if they're together.
Yeah.
If they found each other. Well, I asked the question, are you two together? Cat ball lit up like that. And it was absolutely crazy. And they died 30 years apart.
Yeah, that's
it was that was pretty crazy. We went into this well, we call it a cafe here, but it was like a tea house there, and it was really, really tiny. And there was it looked like a hoarder's dream. There was so much crap in there, and so we walked in, and there was a certain point during our investigation. We had the cat ball, we had the REM pod, we had the K2, we had the voice recorder, and everything lit up at once, it was fierce. It looked like a Christmas tree had just lit up.
I love that.
Awesome. It was so cool. But I'm telling you, as soon as you step off the plane, the energy is completely different in the UK than it is in North America. And you're right. The spirits know what they're fucking doing.
They
They
do.
know what
They
they're
do.
doing there,
Mm-hmm.
and
They do.
they're going to talk when they want to talk, and they're not going to talk when they don't want to talk, and it's crazy. But anyways, we have gone way past our time, way past. But you know what? Like I said earlier, anytime you talk about the paranormal, the time goes like that.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I love it.
I'll
I
give you
love
one more.
it.
In England, if I can, Left Castle and Island, 30 East Drive in England. Give me 30 East Drive for the night. Let me tackle that.
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna do that the next time. We're
Are
gonna
you
do
really?
the
That
next,
place-
yeah, we're gonna do it the
Serious
next
strong
time.
spirits in there.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that one. But the main goal is we actually did a hospital. It's the hospital's gone, but the part of the hospital is still there. It's called the Victorian. I think it's called the Victorian Chapel or something like that. What's her name? What was her name? What was that woman's name? The nurse, not a nurse, but Florence. Florence Nightingale stayed there. If you're familiar with Florence Nightingale, and she hated the place. So, but that was even a great investigation. I'll be honest. I don't think we really had any dead nights there.
I can't
At
imagine.
all.
You would.
No
I
pun
really can't
intended,
imagine
though.
you would.
No, wrong choice of words, but yeah, no pun intended.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, if you went on 11 investigations, were you able to get video of all of them? And
Yeah,
Sure,
the
yeah,
video,
there you go.
all the episodes are going to be going up on Paraflix starting the beginning of next year. Yeah.
There is some
That's a lot of
teasers.
work.
You have some teasers on Huntaphobia, don't you? I think.
No.
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 I saw something.
What did
Yeah,
you do?
well-
Bring like 3 hard drives with you
I
to
know,
download every night? You spent the whole night downloading, woke up and went and investigated.
I will
yeah.
tell you that the mausoleum is my absolute favorite. Just
Yeah.
I don't know whether it was the reaction that Lex had. It was just so genuine or
Yeah.
what it was. But
Yeah.
anyway.
I brought 2 external hard drives with me,
I can imagine.
and my laptop and all that stuff, and a lot of SD cards.
oh yeah,
So
We just went from Hinsdale to this place, Wildwood Sanitarium, back-to-back nights, and I spent like 3 hours downloading SD cards into a hard drive just to make sure I had them, because they gave you 15 hours at each. So I said,
Yeah,
"Oh my God, I got to make sure I don't run out of SD cards here. I'd be pissed."
Yeah,
So
it was.
I was like a madman, like downloading, please, and hoping not to erase the wrong thing or screw up because I'm tired. Oh God.
Yeah,
Wow.
you know what? We all love going out there and filming and capturing evidence, but what a lot of people don't understand is how many hours it takes to edit, to download,
God.
to go through videos, to go through audio, everything. It takes hours and hours and hours. But you know what? This was a great show. I had a lot of fun, and I would love to be able to bring you guys back because
Anytime, bro.
I know
Anytime.
Lex would love to have the opportunity to speak to you both. He's an equipment man. He likes analyzing equipment, and he's the type of person that will dissect it till he finds the answers on why it's doing what it's doing. So we'll definitely bring you back down the road. I want to say my thank yous for coming on today's show, and I hope you guys have a great rest. What
Great
the hell
rest.
Is that?
It's a great rest.
Rest? What the fuck?
I'm trying to help you here.
Thank you. Have
English
a
isn't
great
my
rest.
strong suit.
Yeah, well, have a great rest of the day, and I'm going to
You
say
as
my
well.
thank yous, and go ahead.
Our pleasure.
Matt.
thank
Anytime.
you, thank
Thanks
you so
for
much for
having us.
having us.
Definitely, it was great seeing you guys again. I saw you on Talking with the Source. I even told AJ and Robin I want to get you guys hopefully on my show. Luckily,
Anytime.
honored enough to get you on here. I was surprised, but definitely have to get in touch with you guys. And thank you. for
Sure.
your time.
Anytime.
Yes,
Anytime.
thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet both of you.
All
We had
right.
a fun
Well.
time.
Have a
Thanks.
great night. Bye.
Bye.
Wow, that was. You know what? It's not too often we go over time like that. Usually we'll go over like 20 minutes or something like that. But there was so much to cover with the videos, with them and their equipment and everything. Time went by so quickly. I can't believe it's been an hour and 45 minutes.
I know.
You know, but it was a great show, and I'm sure Lex will want to have them on again so he has the opportunity to speak to them. And you know what?
Sure.
At the end of all this, this is why I love doing this, because you meet great people like them, and just so many good people in this industry. But then again, there are a lot of bad ones too.
Well, I think the bad ones are starting to filter themselves, and I think it's a lot of us supporting each other, getting together, and we're starting to see some of that getting weeded out. And it's nice. It's nice when the trash takes itself out. No, not against one individual, but as a general.
Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you to you for filling in. And you know, it's funny. I thought of something while the intro was going on, and give me your thoughts on this. I've been having you so much as a co-host. I'm actually starting to consider putting you into the intro.
Well, I mean, if you want views, I'd highly suggest against it. No. I honestly, I'm honored. In all honesty, I'm really honored that I can be here to help you out, and that you think of me to fill in. Being a host of a show, obviously, as you know, you take a lot of pride in it. Like Squeakers, Lurker, myself, even my wife, we take very big pride in these shows, and being invited to co-host with you, honestly, bro, it's a big honor to me. And
I'm glad you can do it, man. It's sometimes it's as you know, this can be a little bit stressful sometimes when either a guest cancels, or if you are partnered up with somebody, they can't make it, and then you're scrambling to try to decide if you're going to do it on your own or if you're going to bring somebody in. But I really appreciate it, and you've always come to bat for me and Lex, and I know Lex appreciates it too, because when he said he had to cancel today from being on the show, he goes, can you ask Matt if he can come on? And that says a lot.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. I really do, and that's why I love and respect you guys. But I mean, if I have a link, I'm going to be on the show. I mean, I got to be in front of this camera. I mean, hell, I had surgery like 48 hours ago in my mouth.
We were when was it? We were talking Friday on video, and your wife was giving you crap for coming on video.
Yeah, because I was smoking. Although I will say this, I didn't have an energy drink until Saturday, so I did wait that 24 hours to have an energy drink. Cigarette, that was a little bit.
But you were drinking something though when I called you. What were you drinking?
I only had tea, I think, that day.
Maybe.
I think it was tea.
I think it was a coffee cup you had. Yeah, it was
the red Solo cup.
The mug, you had a mug or something like that.
Yeah, that was tea.
Well, again, I want to thank everybody that came in today's show. And if you watched the replay of this show, I really appreciate you watching the replay. We'll definitely be back next week. And I want to say something before we leave, okay? I want to give an apology to Marcus.
Uh-oh.
I fucked up.
We'll get over it.
I fucked up. I double booked. I booked Marcus. For some reason, I thought I had Marcus on next week, or Minnesota Spirit Hunters. So Minnesota Spirit Hunters will be coming on next week's show. Hopefully Lex will be back. If not, most likely he'll be.
Oh, I'm going to be somewhere. I'm either going to be in the audience. I got to give Marcus crap. I mean, I think that's what it's. I really like that our community is becoming, that we can just give each other crap all the time, and we all know that it's just how we are.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I still am waiting on Marcus's calendar.
Meaning what?
Oh, that you'll have to ask him that for next week. Ask him about his calendar. He'll love it.
His calendar. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those where I want to tell you, but his reaction is the best. In all honesty, like
I think I've seen you say that on the show with him, and he gets all. He looks like he's getting a little bit pissed.
It's a lot of love. It's a lot of love.
I'll throw it. I'll throw it in there sometime during the show about a calendar, and
So
hopefully you're there watching and get a nice
you know
little chuckle. Yeah,
I will be. I'll either be in the audience or
yeah,
I'll be somewhere.
So for everybody, again, if you're watching the show, if you're watching the replay, down below are the links for Todd and Marissa. So if you can go over and follow them on YouTube. They also, I believe their website is below. Also, I believe they are, and we never got to talk about it. We'll talk about it next time. But their TV show, because they are on a network. I believe the network is through Facebook that shows their videos. But I watched a bunch of their videos yesterday and today, and I love the way Todd reacts when he captures something. And it's just incredible. But they were two great people, and I look forward to having them on again. We'll have to get on the P3, you three soon. We haven't had you three on. You, Squeakers, and Lurker.
Oh, the Paracrew.
Yeah, we've never had you guys on.
Hi?
We've had you
didn't.
on. We've only had you on, but we've never had Lurker or Squeakers. We'll definitely, maybe what we'll do is not next week, the following weekend, we'll get you guys on the show.
Well, I know.
How does that sound?
I mean, that works for me. Actually, yeah, that would work too, because I know Lurker works at night. So, yeah, that should work.
Yeah. And he's an hour behind, right?
Yeah, he's an hour behind us, and Squeakers is 3 hours behind us.
Okay, so maybe what we'll do is not next week, the weekend after, we'll get you guys on the show.
Cool.
I want to look and see. There's some comments here before I go. Crap, I'm late. It's okay, Andrea. You can go back and watch.
Absolutely,
and
share.
Wickedly. Wickedly. Thank you, Andrew. What did I say?
Wickedly.
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 Yeah, there you go.
Wickedly.
Whatever it is, I don't know. English. Friggin' English.
Yeah, you know what? Go over there and again, if you guys are interested in getting an SLS camera and have always wanted one, now is your time. $285 American.
That's unreal.
And it's a great price. And I think he said the tablet's worth $400.
That's for the newer one. The newer one. The newer one's $400 for just the tablet.
Okay. Well, Andrea, you can definitely go back and watch. We had a great show. It was a long show. We showed some clips of some previous investigations. But anyways, we're going to let everybody go. And before we do, is there anything you want to let us know what's going on with you before we go?
Me? Not really. I know actually, yeah, there is something. We spoke on this in the beginning that there was a lot of issues, a lot of heartbreak, a lot of things happening recently. I just wanted to let everybody know that the Paracrew, we decided that we're actually going to switch some things around. So on Wednesday, if you guys remember, you follow, we have Charles from Relax and Let Go. He's all about mental health awareness, meditation, stuff like that. We bumped him up a week early. So we're going to be having him on for a nice relaxed session, try to let everybody help calm down, relax, and think about some meditation techniques to help out, because there's been a lot of stress going on recently with everybody. So
what about Monday's show with your wife and Squeakers?
Honestly, I have no idea. I don't know what they do. I just let them do their thing. And I know I'm not sure about Lurker doing his show. WTF is that? Yeah. I'm sure we'll figure something out.
Yeah, why not?
We always do.
Why not? We always do. Okay, everyone. Again, thank you for everybody who watched the show today. I want everybody to have a great rest of the day, and we'll definitely see you next week. Good night, everyone.